Hello and welcome back to Anewgo of New Home Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Anya Chrisanthon, and today we're back with AI Brief Homebuilding Edition. So this is our monthly segment where we cut through the AI noise and focus on what actually matters for home builders, sales teams, and marketing leaders, the shift that will impact the buyer journey, lead conversion, and the tools that we all rely on every single day. Now, I'm joined again by Anewgo CEO, John Lee. And in this episode, we're digging into what's changing right now from AI ads and agentic commerce to personal AI experiences to how AI is reshaping portals, CRMs, and the future of SaaS pricing. So we have a full episode that's going to be action packed. So, first, this week, we're seeing some major shifts in how AI companies plan to make money. So, OpenAI has actually started testing ads inside ChatGPT in US, and it applies to free and go accounts. And Google is also rolling out new ad formats in AI-powered search experiences while also pushing shopping directly inside Gemini. So the headline isn't just ads are coming to AI, but it's the platforms that are saying that they want to actually reinvent what an ad even is when the interface is a conversation and not a list of links. So, John Lee, with OpenAI testing ads in ChatGPT in US, what's the most likely path, you think? Sponsored links, sponsored actions, or sponsored agents, or something else? All of the above.
Well, before we get into the details, at the end of the day, we're all running a business and they're running a huge business. And for the last 2 or 3 years, it was about trying to get buyer adoption, working out the kinks and all the hallucinations, getting more eyeballs, getting more stickiness, and people to come back and be engaged.
Mhm.
Now they actually need to make some money because they spend a ton of money building out data centers, chips, all the processing speed and processing of all the AI conversations. Obviously, OpenAI needs to start making money beyond subscriptions. So one of the things that they're doing is for the free users, the free loaders, they're going to load them up with advertising. So as the normal advertising premium model is. And part of that is derived from the conversation because the conversation has gotten them engaged over many years. Some people are actually best friends with their chat GPT that they have to talk to you all the time. So not only is ChatGPT aware of what you're looking for now with this persistent memory technology that's continuing to improve, it knows what you've been looking at for the last 6 months or year, what your interests are, what your passions are, what your obstacles are, who you're talking about, and who and what you're talking about. So all that sets itself up for great personalized ads. I think this is the big difference between the traditional SEO, where you're looking for a specific thing with just keywords. This may actually bring in to the conversation recommendations based on your situation. Like you may be struggling with something, or you need help with something, or you're going on a trip. So it's looking at the context of what you're doing and maybe adding some ideas to help you achieve those goals or overcome those obstacles. And the way they're going to do it is try to not scare everybody off with pop-up banner ads and all of these things and irrelevant sponsor links that were basically pay to play. They want to base it not just what you said, but who you are and what you're about. And so it brings hopefully that element of intent in a non-intrusive way, which I mean, of course, I haven't seen all the details yet, but it's supposed to be down at the bottom of your conversations. So it's kind of like, hey, by the way, these would be a good pair of shoes for hiking Mount Everest or whatever. And then I think that's how it's going to evolve. Now, more people may opt in actually to recommendations and advertising if the AI is so great at recommending the best restaurants, the best clothes, the best places to visit on a vacation. On the other side, Google has to play the same game too, because if they don't start to introduce advertising into the Gemini conversation model, they're just going to cannibalize their Google search and have no money to show for it. So, as part of that, Gemini is also testing in different markets. How do I bring in those valuable advertisements, or they may call them recommendations or matches, in a way that's not just 10 blue links and go help yourself. Perplexity is another big player in there in this, but they've really been on the ask engine side. So they've actually been playing with advertisements for a while here because people are actually asking for an answer and a solution. So they're almost asking for those recommendations. Now, the other big player there is Claude, Anthropic. Now, those guys have kind of boycotted this ad thing, says, hey, we're not playing that game. We only want to be here to service you. And they came from the origin of, Jeff Bezos is a big investor and also Amazon's a big investor. So they're really about agentic commerce, what you're talking about. So they're hoping to make money by helping sellers sell their products and getting that commission like Amazon does. And they use Rufus as that guide. So you're starting to see all the major players trying to pick their lane, but I think ultimately it'll all be pretty much the same, where with agentic commerce and agentic AI and then AI agents, the buyer with their trusted, intelligent AI buyer's agent will not only introduce them at discovery to different products and services, but actually help them all along the way from discovery to checkout and even make the orders for them.
Yes. So before we get into more of agentic commerce, definitely have some comments on that. My ex-boyfriend Claude, we've all seen the commercial at Super Bowl. And yeah, it's interesting that they're taking that stance, right? That the ads are coming to your chat, but not a
Mhm.
Claude. Yes. So it's interesting. And it makes me think, I remember an instance that I had with Claude when I used to almost exclusively use Claude up until about a year ago when I switched to ChatGPT, just because I didn't like the particular answer Claude gave me at that time. So, and now I kind of never looked back. So maybe I'll revisit Claude. But what's interesting was I remember one instance when I was put in charge of my boys' baseball fundraiser. And so I was in charge of selling lottery tickets for that event, trying to raise money for the team to build a new stadium. And so, of course, I went to my trusted Claude at that time and I said, hey, what's the strategy here to sell the most tickets and to make the most profits? And what was interesting to me is that Claude said, I will not give you any advice on this because it's unethical to sell lottery tickets in this instance because some people may not be able to afford it. It may lead to gambling addiction. And I was like, wow, that's so interesting. So I was like, let me see what other GPT say about this. And so I compared it to Gemini and ChatGPT. And of course, the others had no problem giving me an answer on strategy for how to sell the most lottery tickets. So it's interesting how they're positioning themselves in this. And as you were talking about personal shopping experience, we get a little bit of that now, right? Like when you opt into how much information do you want to reveal to advertisers, and it's like a difference between getting an ad for cute shoes versus diapers, where diapers may not be applicable to you. But when I was researching this topic, I saw an example of personal shopping being that, okay, you're at a tire store because you need new tires for your minivan, and you pull up your Gemini and you ask, which kind of tires should I buy? And it's able to pull up an actual picture of your minivan so it knows specifically which car model you have. And then it's able to tap into your previous Gmail that the car dealership had sent you at the time of the purchase with the VIN number and all the information. So it's able to locate really deep information on that. And then it's able to pull up pictures from your family trip that you took across the country using the minivan. And so now it says, oh, you know what? You may be taking more road trips than typical family. So you may need all weather tires. So now it's able to give you a recommendation that is specific to you, not just based on, oh, I like this or like that, but it's actually went back and looked at all those things that took place to give you this personal recommendation. So scary or not?
Well, it's actually, like I said, back to business. It's reflected in their stock price. I mean, Gemini or Google's stock, Alphabet stock, if you want to call it that, that's the parent company. Their stock has been through the roof with the introduction of Gemini 3. So they kind of leveled up with ChatGPT. But along with that, their big advantage versus OpenAI is think of all the history that you have from Google Maps to Google spreadsheets to your Gmail to YouTube. You can keep going on how much of the ecosystem they have and all that history about you personally. So you don't even need to express what you want. It knows what you want. And so
Exactly.
that's the huge advantage it has over OpenAI, that AI is playing catch up here with persistent memory and really just trying to be a reliable source. And that's why now Gemini, Google is introducing beyond these SEO, is introducing personal intelligence. So it's trying to have that AI intelligence, not at large, like a large language model, but specific about you, Anya, and specifically about me. And Meta is also playing to that same concept. Mark Zuckerberg was talking about creating personal AI. So basically, with all your social influencers and all the things that you've been engaged with and on Instagram and everything, Zap, it knows what you are personally interested in and how you're influenced. And then talk about getting kicked out of the club here. Apple was partnered with ChatGPT for a while there, and they were really tight with Google there for a while because Google's search engine was the brains or the engine behind Safari. A lot of people didn't know that in the Safari browser, but they picked up ChatGPT. But now they brought Gemini because of Gemini 3, bringing it back into the game. So in the future, Siri will probably be powered by Gemini. And so now you bring all the best, I want to say the best or the most, let's say the most of both worlds from your iPhone interactions. You think of all the things you've done on your phone with photographs and mapping and all the conversations you had through your iPhone and searches, and you marry that with your Gemini. The one thing that I think Apple will really try to push for is privacy. So that they're saying, hey, look, on your iPhone, and what they're proposing is to create AI on a chip. So that chip is so powerful that it will provide that intelligence, but it's only private to your phone and you. So and your phone is basically like your BFF for life. It probably knows you better than your BFF, and you probably said more things about it because you probably talked about everybody else behind it, even your own BFFs. So I think all that together will make it so compelling and so valuable than ever having to do things yourself again.
Yes, yes. And I think even the future of what an advertising looks like is probably going to change beyond that. The cost of producing content has always been so high up until now, where it's ultimately nothing to produce content and really, really incredible content, right? So TV shows, etc. So, you know, typically we've been interrupted by ads during TV shows and it's like, it's so annoying. But now we're seeing, like Kim Kardashian was talking about, creating your own world, your own TV show. That basically the ad is the TV show, that you're producing this bingeable content for people to watch. And in the middle of the content, oh, the character is wearing the new watch. Kim is putting on her Skims on, and Kim is using her sister's cosmetics on her face, where you can immediately shop in real time as you're watching this bingeable show that is positioned essentially as a one big ad.
Yeah, the show is actually the ad. It's actually the commercial because it's engaged with you because using generative AI, you can have that character only react the way you want to. Like if you're a romantic, it's going to get married. It's going to walk into the sunset. For me, maybe I want to see that person get their throat cut. And that's what's going to happen. And it will be appealing to us because it's highly personalized.
Yes. Yes. Now, of course, we can't not talk about a shift that's happening as we speak, which is AI assistants, and we're moving into the realm of AI agents. So, again, to clarify for people who may not be as familiar with the lingo, give us a quick definition again: AI assistants versus agents.
Okay, well, I'm going to take it back a little bit bigger here. AI agents is actually part of an agentic AI system or network or platform. And if you think of it this way as an analogy, think of agentic AI as like the Uber network, where it has the brain power to actually match the driver with the rider, with the vehicle, with the destination. So it's actually coordinating all of that in its own intelligent way. And it's very, not just intelligent, but optimized way for both the customer journey, the price, and also the profitability for the rider and Uber. So that agentic AI system is an essential piece. Now, if you think about what a AI agent is, think of that as the driver. The driver is working on behalf of that customer. and the customer's not driving it, the driver's driving it, but it's driving it in accordance to what the agentic AI system has optimized and guided it, where to go, how to go, when to pick up, how to notify, and all those kind of things, and how to transact. But now, even like with driverless cars, you have super powerful AI agents there that is not just it's a driverless vehicle. It has the autonomy to make decisions within the agentic AI framework. But if it wants to say, hey, this person really likes to look at the beach, and they rather go down the Pacific Coast Highway rather than going through the city. And so it can make those things as it's interacting autonomously based on what the customer's needs are. So now you're bringing us back to AI assistants versus AI agents. AI assistance is that evolution toward an AI agent. I mean, I don't think most of us are just going to hand over our credit cards to our AI agent and go shopping for me. I mean, for me, I hate shopping. I may actually do it, but generally, I still have a budget.
Isn't that what's taking place right now
Well,
with?
that's what I say. It's an evolution. There's some people here, and they were just like driverless cars. There's some people that would never step into a driverless car. They still need somebody behind the wheel. But an AI assistant there is kind of like your GPS. It's going to guide you through how to get there if you want to drive yourself, or if you still want to do the shopping, particularly buying new homes. Let's get back to our industry a little bit. You still want to have some say in where you go, how you go, who you bring into the conversation, what you want to reveal, and all that kind of stuff. But you want the expertise of AI and the private guidance of an AI, not necessarily a buyer's agent that you had to pay for, or even the salesperson or anything like that. So it's guiding you along the way, but you're making all the clicks and interactions. The AI agent here is now going to do some of the stuff autonomously. And I think early on, the AI agent will do the safe task. Let me go search 100 builders and find those matching homes and notify you in the morning when you have your cup of coffee. And then I'll notify you when the price changes. I'll notify you when the inventory home pops up. So you don't have to lose sleep over it. Have your sleep, because you'll have no FOMO, no fear of missing out. But as we start to trust him or her more, we can actually have our own style of AI. We actually pick the character that we like, right? And sometimes you just want funny ones, sometimes you want serious ones. But later on, you would say, hey, go ahead and schedule a tour for me, because I want to make sure it meets my timeline, my calendar, or whatever. Or go ahead and design some colors and options based on my lifestyle. So it's starting to do things for me. And
Mhm.
ultimately, it could go from not just being your AI buyer's agent, but also could be your AI sales agent on behalf of the builder, because you may not have the time, the resources, the wherewithal to service hundreds of people at 2 o'clock in the morning from all different countries and all different personal needs and problems. And the AI sales agent could be your initial filter that not only filters out the good, bad, and ugly, but it really ushers in the ones that you want, optimizes them. Hey, I need you to buy lot 15. I got somebody at lot 12. Got too many people at lot 3. So I'm going to split these guys up or whatever. And so basically, that AI agent will work on behalf of the sales force, your human sales force, to help them get curated leads and basically position them for you to take over.
Yes, so think about you're shopping on Lowe's.com and you're asking for a power tool and it tells you what power tool you need. And if you ask for what does it come with a battery, it's going to tell you exactly which battery. And maybe as it senses that you're hesitating about the tool, maybe it's going to step in and offer you a personal discount code, right? It's able to pull up information and see what profit margins are there, and if it thinks, oh, I just need a little nudge, it's able to do that for you. Now, what happens on the flip side? So, if buyers bring their own AI agents to negotiate to the table, so to speak, what changes about lead capture?
That's going to be very interesting. But just one little side note to what you just said about if the AI can sense that you're hesitant and just needs that extra incentive. Because AI works multimodally by you typing,
Mhm.
and also can show you images and all that stuff, but you can also use voice. And I always say now, because I've been talking to AI a lot, sounds kind of weird, but I've been talking to AI a lot, and he can tell from my intonation my inclination. So if you can see that somebody is wary or they're apprehensive or they're concerned, yeah, you could say the right things or offer the right incentives to nudge along. If you see that they're already excited, hey, don't give away the farm, close the deal. So I think that's where the AI actually has senses through all those different modes. Like I said, what does it do when the AI is doing the shopping? Yeah, I think in one sense, it's actually relieves a lot of the stress and pressure for humans because the likelihood of you being able to handle thousands of people all coming on at 10 o'clock on Friday night is impossible. And you shouldn't be rushed to try to get to the next one. And you don't know if the next one is actually better or worse than the one you have here. So you don't know whether you're trading up or trading down. And meanwhile, the queue gets longer and longer. And probably the ones that have the most problems, and because they're always the one complaining and have all these contingencies, they're probably the ones that's tying up all your time. And the nice, quiet ones, the good ones, have just given up because nobody's answering the phone. So in this way, all types of questions, deep or shallow, it could just be like, hey, what are your design studio hours? Do you really need to drop the phone and just to go answer that when they can get that quick answer? And then that's all they need. But if you made them wait 10 minutes, that may be the thing that you lost on. So we want to be able to let the AI do what they do best, and they do things at a multimodal level, multilingual level, multi-session, multi-channel, and they do it at a huge scale at a fraction of the cost. And especially if it's AI buyers that are doing the shopping, it's already tough enough for a human to converse with a human buyer. I mean, human seller talking to a human buyer. Imagine if it's a human salesperson talking to an AI buyer, where it's just throwing out questions left and right because it's working on behalf of its buyers. It already knows what to ask, how to ask it. It doesn't have to even think about it. There's no apprehension, there's no formalities. It's
Hmm.
just going right for what it wants. And if you don't have it, it's going to check out.
Right.
That's the speed of what's happening.
So let's talk about the lead capture in this case because we've already started to see this. One of our customers, Lombardo Homes, has rolled out our AI assistants on their website, and it's been 2 weeks since they've had it on. And one of the very interesting things that we're hearing from their VP of sales is that she's able to eavesdrop on the conversations that people are having with this AI assistant that she hasn't even thought about. So, John, can you talk a little bit about that? What types of things people are asking for, and how does it really change the future of marketing?
One thing is when the buyer, and this is probably more psychological, and I'm starting to see it now, especially the people that come back and have second phone calls. They're starting to realize that one, there's not an apprehension. I'm going to be talking to a salesperson. There's
Hmm.
not also the apprehension of what do I say? How do I say it? Am I going to offend them? And then how do I need to answer their questions about me and my family and whatever? So you can get in and get out. And so what we see, there's more engagement, but maybe in short bursts in a sense. But then the ones that actually have the deeper questions there, they're the ones that are starting to become very serious. So when we have the buyer interact with this AI sales agent or sales assistant in this case, because it's not actually doing the transaction for them, we capture all the conversation in both the voice clip, which I said that the intonation, that the sound of their voice actually reveals a lot, but we also see it transcribed. The transcription is very important because now the salesperson can actually have AI on the back end go and review all these conversations and really diagnose and assess the ones that are really high intent because there's a whole analysis CRM on the back end that analyzes these conversations. So you really see whether they're a hot and cold lead, whether they're frustrated, what kind of questions are they at, based on the type of questions they're at. If they're still just trying to figure out the community, they're probably not ready for the plan yet. But if they're already talking about what options and they're describing their life and lifestyle, like we're seeing, then we're
Hmm.
starting to say, hey, this is a serious one. And maybe at some point here, as we learn more, we need to learn where is that handoff that should be made between the AI agent and the human agent. If these are all still looky loos, let AI handle it. But
Hmm.
when the serious sues here, and depending on, because when you hear their people, this gets a little bit into demographics, but if you hear that they're older or younger or a mother or whatever, you may want to bring the right salesperson to connect because AI has made that connection. You cannot disconnect now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I was just so fascinated when Mel was talking about the kinds of things she's hearing and
Hmm.
the types of things they never thought of putting on their website that now she's like, oh, people are asking about this. We should add that. So it's really shaping your conversations, shaping your marketing. You're getting an inside look, really unfiltered for what your customers are
Because
saying.
it's open ended.
Yes, it's open-ended. We've never had this type of technology that customers can communicate with your website or phone call even, because a phone call, maybe they're going to say that to a human, but again, it doesn't go anywhere from there. So it's really interesting dynamic that was very unexpected. I guess it should be expected, but it was very cool surprise that I was like, as a marketer, I was like, I just love that.
Well, here's the little secret sauce. I'll reveal this a little bit. Right now, most AI assistants, especially the ones that are from the large language models, they've been pre-trained on your website.
Hmm.
So they've read that, and I can't say that they have read it recently. So you may only have a shadow of representation now because they looked at 6 months ago. So you may not have the latest inventory, the latest communities, even the latest branding. So it's kind of looking at your former self, but that's one problem. But it's also only limited to your website. What we've done is we're trying to represent all the facets that helps the buyer decide whether to go forward, step back, or go away. And some of that may be on your website that they can have to go and manually look around. But the other part is we bring in also the World Wide Web of knowledge. So if you have a question about, hey, what's current interest rates and what's it going to impact on this monthly payment and what's it like in the city, the parks and schools systems or whatever. But the other part of it is also your uploaded documents. So if you have HOAs and incentives and all that stuff that you don't want to litter, in a sense, your whole website with because it's just too much stuff in there, they get lost in the complexity and the amount. But if there's a certain person that has that certain issue at that certain stage in the shopping process, it's pulling from your AI agent's wealth of knowledge. And then
Hmm.
the other piece that we bring in there, because we also want to push and sell inventory homes, or we also bring in the portal XML feed. Some of you guys may not understand that, but there's a whole MLS feed that goes into all the major home portals. And so we tap into that so we can pull up the latest pricing, inventory homes availability. So there's no fear of missing out there. And then we're able to have AI synthesize all of that because you can't not just live by 200-word description of the house. You need to see the floor plan. You need to calculate the square footage. You need to see the visuals of the colors and everything. So it's actually showing those visuals in the conversation. And then if you like the sample platter, it can actually seat you at the table on the right page of where that plan is for you to now customize what you want through our interactive design tool. So it's a symbiotic relationship between the new conversation channel, which now affords you, it's almost, I always hesitate this. It's so mind-boggling that we've had created hundreds of thousands of builders' websites and they've gone unmanned. And can you imagine your home store or any store? You just walk in there, there's nobody there to help you. And it just happens to be the most complex, expensive, collaborative purchase that you're ever going to make in your life. And you got here through a lot of work and you walk in there and it's a museum. Well, now you have a conversation channel there that not only guides you along, but it personally guides you along. Nobody else is looking at you. Nobody else is seeing what you're doing. Nobody else sees your dream home preferences, what you want, what you don't want, and also can also save all those personal favorites and then be able to hand you off to the right person at the right time. That is a critical piece that's being lost in the whole new home shopping experience. And I'll take it even a level up. This is not only happening on your website, we are creating it through the AI app stores like ChatGPT has, that we're bringing that interactive design, that discovery, that customization, that personalization before they even come to your website. So they're designing it on their chat GPT conversation. Says, oh, okay, you said the Berkeley home at Lombardo is great. Well, before I go and waste my time walking to that store, can I just see some things here and design it? What's the price and what are their options? And oh yeah, well, I already designed it perfectly. Now, when you click on that link to go to Lombardo Homes, you're going directly to the Berkeley house. You don't need to look at any other houses. It's already fine-tuned with the options that you want. So you don't start from square one every time you switch channels. You continue on your customer journey and never get distracted. And the same thing with the OSCs or the salespeople that interacting with you. They don't need to talk about all the things that you've already eliminated. Let's just make this happen. It's not about selling the home, it's making it happen.
Yeah. And of course, in order for that to happen and to happen efficiently, we do need a new type of CRM system that is able to capture these types of conversations. Now, the question is, these agents are displacing not only kind of the sales and marketing, but they're also affecting the enterprise world, right? SaaS software. Because if these
Software is a subscription.
agents,
Yeah, software is a subscription.
if these agents are able to perform these tasks, and this traditional software has been charging people per seat, and most of the time those seats are not being utilized, right? Because it's probably only being used once in a while for somebody to log in once a month, maybe to look at something. So I guess my question to you is, which categories of software do you see being displaced by these agents or AI first? Like you would think CRM maybe.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just a reporter. So you can go look at your stock charts and figure this out. But in the last year, if you look at mainly large enterprise software subscription SaaS software platforms, you're seeing their stocks tank. A lot of them have dropped in half the value. If you look at the CRMs like HubSpot and Salesforce, that's even impacting the portals. When Google announced that they're doing a partnership with Gemini, is doing a partnership with House Canary, Zillow stock dropped like overnight. And so what you're seeing is these large language models may be disrupting the traditional large enterprise SaaS models, and they're doing it across industry by industry. When ChatGPT announced that they're offering legal services, and a lot of the legal software companies and even legal law firms are actually hurting because it's taking not just the software business, the users of that software. That's where it gets back to seat licenses. If your business model's about selling seat licenses and there's less seats, that's not a good model. So it may probably start to shift more toward a usage model or a pay for performance type of model. It's a tough predicament for the say the CRMs, because if they want to become smart CRMs, they need to use AI. Well, it's not like they can just create their own AI, so they have to bring ChatGPT in, but that ends up being like the Trojan horse that they let into their own platform. So it's not only giving them that capability. Now they can't let it go because they sold on it. So they have to keep them there. But at the same time, it's learning about everything there, not just what they're doing, how they're doing it, but it actually knows how to connect the CRM to do some of the marketing and sales automation. In a sense, you're kind of like selling yourself out. So they have to work on a different way to approach this. I don't want to say this is like the end of the world here, but I think each domain, which is each industry, needs to have its own master. So instead of being ground up from the top, you need to maybe start ground up from the bottom to be
Mhm,
really knowledgeable, control the content, control the channels in your industry.
mhm,
Because part of this agentic AI ecosystem that I was talking about, it's not like you just snap the finger and it's agentic AI. It actually requires this evolution of the infrastructure. And we are seeing this, I call it like the smart grid, because everything's becoming smart, and it's a smartification of all the online steps in that customer journey, which I call the customer journey now D2C, which if in business school, D2C was always about direct to consumer. The more that you can go direct to consumer, usually the shorter the customer journey, the better the experience. And also you reduce a lot of friction and costs along the way. But also now with technology and AI, it allows that agentic AI journey where it's discovery to checkout. And
mhm,
how do we start discovery? You follow the steps that the buyer has to find online to get to the purchase. They had to start with a search engine historically. Well, now you got smart search engines. Now, when you type in something, it brings up at least AI overviews, if not AI mode. So you can actually have that conversation. And now they've taken it to, a lot of people don't understand this, but when they use Chrome, Safari, Perplexity, or whatever, they're using a browser. When those browsers were always dumb, it was just like it's like the Dewey Decimal System. It got you to the aisle or something like that. But now these are smart browsers. Perplexity has Comet, ChatGPT has Atlas. So not only when you get there, it didn't just drop you off. It read everything on that page. It analyzed everything. It can compare to other similar products and services. So you got to be on your game. When they come to your store, don't think that they are locked into your store. They may be on Lombardo Home shopping Pulte comparatively. So those smart browsers are super smart. And a lot of people don't fully appreciate that and have to actually address that, because if you have a smart browser that's looking into your store, you better have a smart AI that's representing your store. That's why you need an AI sales assistant. And so what's happening is now, as you got into smart browsers, you're going to, and I call the smart search engine, the smart browsers, basically that macro large language model super highway. They get you there, they kind of tell you the lay of the land, but they can't bring you home. And so what happens in each industry, you need at a micro level, and to be master your domain, these secondary roads that actually gets that Amazon last mile, in the sense, get that home delivery. And that's where you actually need to have smart websites, because if it's smart, browsers got you there, smart search engines got you there. You better have a smart website that welcomes you there. And along with that smart website now, you cannot be unmanned because it started out with a conversation, whether it's human or not. It started out with a conversation. So they're engaged. If you go to a museum, they're going to become disengaged. So you need to welcome them where they were in that journey. And that requires that agentic or the AI agent. And this also goes into apps. A lot of these websites, in one sense, they have to transform into an app platform because these AIs work in app world. And web
Mhm.
apps are the smart websites because it allows that interactivity, that engagement, that real-time personalization, dynamic content. You don't want to see everybody see the same generic static stuff. You only want to see your stuff the way you want and how you want it, and nobody else sees it. So the last step in the current customer journey is the CRM. The CRM is what humans are using, human salespeople use to talk to human buyers, which is always ironic because CRM is customer relationship management. And if customers are always first, why is it the last step in the customer journey? Why are you the safety net and catching all the leftovers, only the ones that have registered and decided to have a phone call with you? So that could be 10% of the nobody even knows because nobody's ever captured that. Nobody's ever greeted the anonymous people that have wandered around your website. Partly is because your website wasn't smart enough to do that.
Mhm.
And you may have just ignored the anonymous as not the serious. No, they could have just been the frustrated, serious people that left. So now what we should do is bring the CRM into the smart grid so that it's all integrated with your website, with every channel you have, and with your AI agents. Because now the customer journey starts with a conversation, it doesn't end with a conversation. The conversation is now bringing marketing and sales together at the discovery stage. Before, marketing got you discovery, and if you were willing to click around a bunch of generic websites you know nothing about and go in and out, and you do that all day long, and maybe you'll sign up for something, that's when you think they're serious. But if the conversation, especially if they can design their homes and price it and everything before they even come to your website, you better get your content up the channel or it will never come down the channel. And the only way you're going to do that and be able to analyze that is not just with AI agent, but with a CRM that also manages that customer, because the CRM is not just about ushering the buyer to buy, but it's also enforcing or prioritizing your company goals. We're not just saying let's sell to everyone. I want to sell to this profile that represents my audience, my goals, my profitability, my market share, or whatever.
Yep. Yep. Your CRM better be ready for buyer to human. It better be ready agent to human. It better be ready agent to agent. So
And
definitely.
anonymous. I mean, before you never talked if they didn't reveal who they were.
Yeah.
Like you're saying earlier, the shopper may not even be a human. It could be the AI agent that's shopping hundreds of builders every night. But if you didn't win them over, you will never talk to the original buyer because they wouldn't go shopping on their own anymore.
Correct. Yep.
Yes, like we trust Uber. Uber matches me with the driver in the vehicle. I don't go look at every Uber that comes around and says, "Hey, I like you." No, I don't like you. Oh, well, can you drive around again? I want to see how the back of your car looks like. No, we just have to trust it.
Yep. So yeah, so we'll definitely have to think about agent spam in the future, right? That's probably going to be a thing. And how do we prevent that from happening? So lots of interesting developments are going to be happening. So as we close this topic, I'd like to do a quick rapid fire predictions from you because obviously builders listening to this, they don't need theory. They want real actionable items. So, question number one for you, John, is what's one prediction you're confident about for the next 12 months?
12 months. I think speed is of the essence because things are moving faster and faster. I think a lot of things have been working behind the scenes. Everybody thinks, oh, they're just working now. No, this has actually been in development for 10, 15 years. It's just as all of a sudden, all these things that you had planted in the spring all starting to sprout. Now, you better be ready to harvest it. So if you hadn't even started to plant your own things here, you may have missed the season. Frankly, it's not just buying AI off the shelf. AI requires that you have to build this infrastructure around all your systems, probably break down the silos in your own enterprise. Don't be your own worst enemy break down those things. You got to have the schema, the data schema. The structure is kind of like the scaffolding. The
Mhm.
schema is basically saying, hey, here's my file cabinet. This is for insurance. This is for bills. This is for, so you're having this structure for it. And then you got to go tag everything. Okay, this is a utility bill. This is an insurance document. And so if you haven't started to build that structure, break down those walls, develop that schema that you all agree to, and then tag all your content, because the crazy part is AI is not just reading your keywords anymore. It needs to read that house not only as you describe it, but actually as your buyers may want it in their own demographics or their own lifestyle. So you
Mhm.
have to speak to everyone, or you actually speak to no one. And also the AI now, your quality of your images must be very good, because I use now AI computer vision. So the computer is actually reading all the floor plans. It's reading all the room labels, all the dimensions, it's calculating all the square footages, it's reading all the options that go for that house. So that same house can not just only appeal to different people, but when it talks, it's only going to talk to the gourmet kitchen. If you love cooking, if you hate cooking, it'll highlight something else or talk about something else. So that's how your structure has to be built. And you cannot, ironically, build for the AI shoppers if you don't have an AI agent internally to actually do that for you, because it's not possible to be done by humans. Humans can barely read the floor plans and keep it at a generic static level and write one generic paragraph. The only way I'm able to do it, my secret sauce, is not only does the AI do all that, but we employ or deploy 4 AIs, all 4 that we talked about. Our system uses Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, and they all have different roles. Some are good at talking, some is good at their style, the Kim Kardashian or whatever. Some is good at pulling all the information from the World Wide Web, and some is good at creating visuals, and some is good at coordinating the business goals. And they work as a team, but they do all their things together, but they all work together in milliseconds to come up with a response that resonates with just that unique buyer. It may be the only time you hear that response.
Mhm. Yeah, I think most builders still think of it as a digital transformation, but I think a better way is it has to be digital metamorphosis.
Comes out as a butterfly and all of a sudden it's flying. Before it was like crawling around trying to eat.
Exactly. Yes, it's like,
And
a
now it's sucking
caterpillar.
on nectar.
Yeah, it's like digital transformation is if you take this caterpillar and you make it like stronger and
Right,
buffer and better, but
right.
it's still not going to turn into a butterfly. So what you need is a complete transition into something else. So it's not taking your existing system and trying to fit AI into it. It's probably going to require breaking down and rebuilding from scratch for a lot of the systems.
Yeah, and I say for the next 12 months, like I said, this whole smartification and the whole customer journey, because for agentic AI to work, it needs to follow the entire customer journey and address every step in that journey. And like I said, the CRM has always been the recipient of the leftovers, and it's only been built for human to human registered conversations. I think the CRMs of the future, this is how the big guys will get their stock value back, is that they're going to move to the front of the line and not be follow up, but follow along the entire customer journey, be part of the guiding process, be the brain behind the brain of AI.
Yep. Yes. So before I let you go, is there any last thoughts? Anything we did not cover that you think is important for our listeners to understand?
Wow, in 5 minutes or 2 minutes? Probably not. Just come back to the next brief here, because I think once these ads start to go out, we'll start to now see how do we place our bets, because it's no longer about finding 5 keywords and putting $1,000 budget. It's going to be about how do I show up in that conversation that's relevant to not what necessarily the buyer expresses, but the intent of what AI gathers of what they will need. Sometimes the things that you need the most is not the things that you would ever think you needed. I get that all the time from my wife. She's always giving me counseling, and I didn't even know I needed it.
All right, well, that wraps up this month's AI Brief Home Building Edition. If there's one takeaway, it's this: AI isn't coming for home building, it's already here, quietly shaping how buyers discover, evaluate, and choose their next home. Our goal with this segment is simple: help you stay informed, stay grounded, and stay ahead without chasing every headline. If you found this helpful, please make sure you're subscribed to the Anewgo of New Home Sales podcast so you don't miss next month's update. And as always, we'll keep sharing what we're seeing, what we're learning, and where we believe the industry is headed. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.